year was that? 96. Sounds good. Okay. So 1996, approximately.
Yeah,
all right.
That sounds right. I remember I was first to go into surgery, and the doctor, the people taking care of me said, "Oh, you're going to be first in for surgery. We'll get you prepped now. We'll put you under, and you'll all be ready for the doctor." I said, "Oh no, you won't." I said, "I'm not going under until I see his face." And I remember poking my finger in his face and saying, "Don't you dare cut off my breast. I don't care what you find."
And he was shaking in his socks.
And he said, and I did. It was just like that.
Yeah.
And I said, "I happen to like it, so don't."
Yeah.
And when I had it, went back for the first time to see him, he said, "I cut 25 centimeters around the tumour. It was about 25% of my breast." And I said, "Isn't that what you're supposed to do?"
25 centimeters.
Yes, I cleared it. He said, "I cut 20. No, is it 25?
25 millimeters, maybe.
Maybe
25 centimeters would probably be a mastectomy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so 25 millimeters. Yeah. But he told me that he cut this, and there was no evidence. I wouldn't let them touch my lymph nodes. I thought that was just ridiculous, pulling out about 16 lymph nodes just in case. When there's so many other tests, they didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't let them touch my lymph nodes. And he said, more or less said, "Well, and it was all clear." And I said, so he was trying to indicate that he'd done a good job of cutting it out. It was probably took him twice as long as what it would be to whip it off.
Yeah.
Right. But I think he was trying to say, "Look what a good job I did." And I said, "Isn't that what you were supposed to do?" But anyhow.
Good job.
And so that was 47. Then I'm fine, and I'm a marathon walker. I'm out there exercising. I'm taking probably at the time about 9 grams of vitamin C a day in my grapefruit
9 grams,
juice.
yeah, that's good.
And I'm taking dissolvable aspirin to get me through my daily walk, and because the pain in my hip was.
This is now 20 years after your first diagnosis with Non-Hodgkins.
And this pain in my hip. And I'm thinking, "Oh goodness, I'll have to have a Jane Fonda."
What's a Jane Fonda?
Hip replacement.
Oh.
She just had it done.
Okay.
And and then when I find myself, unable to sit in the car comfortably, and till by the time that New Year's came, and I'm doing a lot of exercising because it was the holidays. I'm doing extra exercise, and I thought, "Oh, I've really overdone it."
Yeah.
But I crashed. And I went to hospital in the ambulance. The pain was so severe. I'd been to the doctors. They give me tramadol, all of that kind of thing. But it was holidays, and the doctors, all on holiday.
This is in the United States?
No, here in New Zealand.
Okay.
And the doctors are all on vacation, so they for 10 days treated me on morphine and pain medication because they couldn't get me through the CAT scan. I just couldn't do it. I was screaming in pain so much. I couldn't actually get out of bed.
Right.
I had to be kind of like bent over. And I remember a doctor came and told me that he didn't like the fact that I was on morphine, and he changed my pain management and taught me how to pain manage, which was good lesson to learn. So at 38, it's 58, and not 38.
Was
definitely
it?
Not 58, 38.
But so you had no chemo with the breast cancer. Did you have?
Yes, I had 6 months of chemo
after the biopsy, or not biopsy, the lumpectomy.
Yes, the lumpectomy.
Okay.
Now they said
6 months of chemo. Do you remember how many rounds that is?
6. It was once a month.
It was
terrible. It was awful.
Yeah.
It really was. They made you feel like you were responsible when your numbers didn't come up. And I had a time limit, you see, but they wanted me to do 6 months of chemo and six months of radiation. I said, no, I haven't got 12 months. I haven't got that time. I'm going back to America. Yeah.
All right.
So getting back to the 58.
Okay.
Once they got me through this CAT scan, they had given me general anaesthetic to put me through the CAT scan, and I had a fist-sized tumour pressing the cord against my vertebrae, and it was inoperable, and so I had treatment straight away, and I can't say for one moment that was the wrong thing to do,
Mm-hmm.
because that actually dissolved
Sure.
the tumour like that,
Mm-hmm.
and I've never had a moment's problem since.
Mhm.
Nothing, no back pain, nothing,
Mhm.
no problems
Yep.
ever that way at
No.
all. And back walking, I think it was something like 14 weeks after I had done that chemo, I walked the Rotorua Marathon.
Wow.
And so, you know, I was back walking, and it was just, yeah, it was really cool. And then I had...
What did they call it? It was the lymphoma?
It was a lymphoma tumour, and it's the only tumour I've had too.
Other than the breast cancer tumor?
Yes, yeah, but it associated with lymphoma.
Okay.
Of course, you know, along the way you meet lots of people, and you wonder why you're the one that manages to come out the other side.
Mm-hmm.
But, and just in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
and it is just my opinion, and just from I've seen people, it seems to be the more chemo they have, the more you see them. It's almost like chemo death.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
It does. It seems some people just keep getting chemo, and it just keeps destroying them and destroying them
and
slowly.
Yes.
And then they say, well, we're going to try this other type of chemo and see if that works, and then we're going to try this. And the whole time, their blood count keeps going lower and lower and lower.
Yes.
Seems to be.
Yeah.
So.
So how fortunate was I that I was able to get better, and as I say, chemo.
Because I think that you were getting better because you just always had this. You always were, like I tell people, stop worrying about it and start planning for the future.
Absolutely.
You've done the treatment. You can't do much more. You know, so you keep yourself healthy, which you haven't even got to that part of your story yet. But it's do the things to keep your body healthy, keep your immune system healthy, and just plan for the future. You know, it's at that point, it's kind of in God's hands, and you kind of have to let it. You have to have the mindset. Well, I'm not going to sit and just think about this all the time. I'm going to go, plan for the next marathon.
But the thing that gets me about people is how come that you've been diagnosed this way, okay, and you just go into this acceptance mode. I mean, I remember having breast cancer and being so angry hearing women's stories of what was happening to them, like how people were treating them and how
You mean treating them just with medication, or treating them as like a number that's just going through the system?
And they would, I'm not wanting to go into details, but there would often be situations where the doctor misdiagnosed it, and she waited 6 months, and then it caused, I got horror stories, and I'd say, aren't you angry?
Yeah.
And they'd say things like, oh, it's my journey.
Yeah.
I just want to slap them upside the head. How can you not owe it to yourself to want to
investigate more?
Absolutely. Yeah. And in New Zealand, of course, we've got this whole thing about, the doctor is God, and they don't even go for a second opinion. And the system's set up that we just sort of throw ourselves into their care, and it's all paid for, and so we don't have to be responsible for our health, in any way, because it's all just it's the government's responsibility. Awful, really. But anyhow, that's a little beside the point.
That's all right. That's a good side note.
So coming up to this, then I got 5 years. So I was 60,
so they gave you after this round of chemo.
Yes.
58 with the spine
got
tumor.
5 years.
They said, okay, well, we've got you another 5 years. How they determined that, I have no idea.
No, I did get 5 years.
Oh, I thought
before
they said that.
I had to go choose treatment again.
Okay.
So, so I really believe.
In 5 years, and what was the symptoms? What happened then that you had to choose treatment?
Yes, you just know them by now. It's the sweats at night and
okay. And that's the lymphoma.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I'm pretty clued up on that. And I met Donkey, and I returned back to going to church, and felt
that was you're now 62?
68. No,
oh.
58, 60, 62. What am I?
62,
63. Yeah, and I met Donkey and got my license to ride a motorcycle, Harley Davidson, and
she's got a big Harley that's waiting for her outside this hospital.
First Harley at 63.
Yeah,
first Harley at 63.
Got my license on the Monday and picked up the Harley on the Tuesday. So they gave me the chemo, and I must admit I sailed through that really well too. And the moment I submitted totally to their protocol, and I had 6 rounds of chemo, and then I'm
Which
off
was
again.
6 months, approximately.
Approximately. And then I'm off on my.
And did you have the whole thing, all the symptoms, the same symptoms, losing the hair and not feeling well and nauseous? So you breezed through it, but it was because you kind of knew what to expect, and you knew what was going to happen. You knew you were going to feel terrible, but you'd come out on the other end.
And I chose to do things to accommodate it. You know, like I dressed in hugely bright colours. I did turban type hats, and the whole route of making it a fashion statement. In fact, one of the girls at church said to Donkey, "Oh, I thought that was her look." I didn't realise she was going through chemo. And of course I would never, not even in the house, not to put my makeup on.
Right.
But anyhow, so I got through that. I think I was the brightest button in the whole of the day stay, which is the most bizarre. I don't know how they do it in the States, but here we have day stay, and you'll go in and you sit in a comfy chair, and you get hooked up with plastic tubes and have all these amazingly toxic poisons
pumped into you.
That the guys that are doing it to you, they have to kit up. Because if it touched their skin, it would burn the way through to the bone. And they're pouring it into. And some people would drag their poor partner along, and I think, oh, that poor person having to sit in this bizarre environment. I wouldn't let him stay. I wouldn't let him come and stay, because it's just.
And it's just I've only been to one oncology, chemo setting where there's a bunch of chairs and people hooked up. It was very quiet. There's not a lot of smiles going on, and that was what I noticed at Hoxsey. Was the difference is when you walk into Hoxsey, everybody's smiling, laughing, and sharing information.
Absolutely.
Whereas you could be sitting next to someone for an hour while you're getting chemo, and not a word would be said.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So then, as I say, 20 months after that, I'm out riding my Harley. I'm clocking up mile Ks on that.
Clicking off Ks. How many Ks have you think you have under the belt?
On my Harley, I did 60,000.
Oh, you did 65,000. You've done well over 75,000. This is your third Harley.
Yes.
She's had more Harleys than I've had Harleys.
75,000.
Harley, I have to get mine painted.
Yeah. 75,000 miles, or 75,000 kilometers.
And of course,
all in
New
New
Zealand is beautiful, and the South Island is just wonderful. There's no cars on the road. And it's just divine scenery and roads, and some of the roads even have white lines, white, not dirty grey, white lines down the middle, because there's been no traffic.
There's no traffic on it.
And so I'm doing that, and then I knew I'm going to boot camps at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm on the freeway, on the motorway, and I'm saying to Lord, I can't do this again. It's just too soon. And that's when I really felt that I should have to do the chemo again, and that I could look at some other way. So that's how, and then it came about.
And then somebody found you at church, or you found them?
We got told that this woman had done this, and from there we made arrangements to meet her and have coffee with her, and
when you first looked into it, did you look into? You must have looked other directions other than just Hoxsey. Once that door opened, did you start looking at other treatments around the world?